Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition uh, of the CantinaMX Podcast. I think we're up to episode 228, I'm going to say. 228 it could be 229, I'm not sure. 228, 229, whatever it takes. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you with us here on the CantinaMX Podcast. It is another lovely, not cold evening here on the banks of Lake Travis in Lago Vista, Texas, which is where I am currently coming to y'all from, and very happy to do it. Very happy for y'all to join us. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Hopefully, we'll get to everything in our little time that we have allotted for this show. We're going to talk a little Chicharito. We'll talk a little Liga MX. We'll talk Raul Jimenez, who had a bittersweet day today in Wolverhampton. And whatever else we get to. Who knows what we'll end up talking about here on the CantinaMX Podcast. But we can't do any of that before introducing our panel. And joining us from Irvine, California is Papa Joel Aceves. Papa Joel, how are you, sir?
Doing good, John. I'm doing pretty good.
Glad to have you with us, Joel. Irvine, California is how far from Carson, California, Joel?
It's about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So
Depending traffic.
So
Yeah,
Carson is
depending traffic.
easier for you to get to than the Bank of California Stadium.
Yes.
So more convenient for you. More convenient for you to go to Carson.
It is, but I would say I prefer the bank.
You prefer the bank. Why do you prefer the bank? Because it's in your
just
old colonia.
yes, it is.
And then they have the new stadium that's going to be looks like it'll be ready this summer. The Sophie Stadium, which is going to seat about 85,000, which is over in Inglewood.
And then hopefully we'll get to see some Moleros there.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, well, is that going to become the new Azteca North?
It could. It depends. We saw how the Rose Bowl took away some games from mi selección from the Coliseum. So who
Well,
knows?
I'm gonna call it now. I bet you $1 that Femex Food signs a contract with some to play one game a year at the new Sophie Stadium when it comes online, like they have like the deal they have here at Jerry's place.
That would be good.
Anyway, Joel,
And
glad to have you with us here on the CantinaMX Podcast. We'll have a lot to get to tonight. Of course, over on the other side of the greater Austin metropolitan area in southeast Greater Austin. Kyle is Albert Campa joins us. Albert, how are you, sir?
Hey John, how's it going?
You
We gotta talk some. I know Joel is gonna be anxious to talk some Copa MX also, so like add that to the list, to the
Oh, well,
Galactico
absolutely.
list.
And how about that poor kid at Pumas who gets erroneously red carded, and the guy who gets who had committed the infraction just like lets it happen.
I missed it.
Unbelievable.
I missed it. But yeah,
Unbelievable.
that's sad moments. So dual sad
Uh,
moments, but I guess I'm used to those.
you used the betrayal or the
The results, the final result of
oh,
failure.
okay.
But yeah,
Well,
Pumas.
that's teams win and lose. It's not always a one-way street.
Correct.
Anyway, well, I'm glad to have you with us, Albert. I know we have a lot to get to, but it looks like someone else has hopped on here on the
Oh,
CantinaMX Podcast,
Jaime.
and it's
Well,
and wait, hang on a second. I see. I feel bad now because I want to get this right. So now I have to go look. Just bear with me for a second here. Let's This is just riveting radio right now.
I don't know what to expect. It's got to
Man,
be.
I hate to say it, but I can't find the name of your town on my little map,
Oh,
and it's
We are live from Enyon,
Antioch,
California.
the knock, right? Isn't that what you call it?
The Yak.
The Yak, the Yak, the knock Yak. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. So over up in the Yak, Jaime Landeros joins us. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. It's been a fun week. Me and Beto have had some discussions, and yeah, I'm just excited to get it going today.
All right. Excuse me. My apologies there. Well, Jaime, I'm glad to have you with us now. Now, before we get to the to discussions, we were pretty bullish on Chivas for the past couple of weeks, and I have to say that was a pretty disappointing result. And when I say disappointed, that they did not win there in Pachuca. So what happened?
In Pachuca? Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about the league game?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't come out to play. They came out to defend, and
Well, hang
we
on a second.
had.
I thought that these were the space goats, the Chivas Galacticas, that take no prisoner and win every game 4-5-0.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, Pachuca in their own home did not come out to play. They came out to defend. So we got to figure out the bunker.
So Chivas is their power is so immense that teams have already realized that the only hope they have is to play the 1-8-1 formation.
That's the media hype, John. And it's
Hey, now hang on a second. But now before we blame the media, I seem to recall not 2 weeks ago, someone who is usually I'm not going to say it. I'll just call it a self-loathing Chivas fan called for not only one title, but 2 titles, a doblete this year. So
yes.
so let's not
Sir.
pretend that the only folks that are hyping up Chivas here are the.
No, I'm saying it's within the realm of possibilities. But one thing is to be able to win those things, and the other one is, being compared to Real Madrid, because that's where the whole Galactico term comes, when they built their super squad, and they had all these big name international players.
They had
pretty
Luis
much
Figo.
shows how. Yeah.
They had David Beckham. They had Ronaldo, right?
Yes.
He was part of the Galactic. Was Zinedine Zidane? Was he on the team?
Yes, he wore number 5.
That's just disgusting.
Roberto Carlos and
Figo was a big part of that.
Yeah, it was the first one I mentioned. But thank you.
Was it Val Nistelrooy, right? And Raúl
Was
they didn't.
Raúl was still there? I can't
play.
remember who the defenders were, but I'm sure they were, the best on the planet. So obviously, but the names that we just mentioned. I mean, really, you have La Chofis.
La Chofis.
I mean, I don't even need to go beyond that. To
well,
make the comparison.
It pretty much shows like some of the exaggeration from the Mexican media. So comparing Chivas having a good transfer window to one of the historic teams is pretty ridiculous. It goes hand in hand with comparing losing a World Cup qualifying match to Brazil losing a World Cup title at, the Maracanazo when they lose the big match against Uruguay. Can't call it a final because that's just not how the World Cup was set up back then. But it was their must-win game, and they compare that to Mexico losing. What was it, to Honduras? Aztecaso. So it's the media, like always. They always have this affinity to
So in other words,
exaggerate.
so it's okay. It's okay for you to call for a doblete, but you draw the line at calling Chivas Los Galácticos. You draw that is a line you will not cross
Well,
when
because
it comes
you
to
don't
hyping
have
Chivas.
well, you don't have to be dominant to win doblete. Chivas doesn't have to do a Liverpool and go on a 40-game undefeated streak. You know, they don't have to pummel every opponent. You just got to get to the big dance, which is Liguilla, and you have being eighth place is good enough to get into Liguilla, right? And then after that, it's a lot of times it's a coin toss. Uh, and then same with Copa MX, they're already in the finals. So
That's just too long to put on the T-shirt, Joel. To sell T-shirts about getting Chivas hyped up. You got to do just enough to get to the Liguilla, and then beyond that, it's a toss-up. It's a hard
yeah,
selling shirt. Hard selling shirt. Well, do I should I expect Chivas then to win this weekend?
which match are they playing? Um,
We play
who they
Toluca
go?
next.
Oh
Toluca.
man,
So that's
that's
good. So
against
you have to go against
Chef Guardiola.
man.
I'm seeing
Chef.
Corazón dividido
I'm seeing a lull.
en la casa de los
Well,
Aceves.
I'm seeing a lull in confidence here. I'm getting a sense of
Toluca.
I'm sensing a
I am
dip.
too,
Toluca
Chiquis.
lost to Atlas, so I think our chances are pretty high.
The hype is coming to an end, man.
And so in Toluca with Chep, the 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 the, the, the great Jose Manuel de la Torre coaching Toluca against Joel, what would be the ideal result here? Would it be like a well fought 3-3 draw?
Wait,
It
is
would
this at?
it's
Would this
no,
be
I'm
at
not, I'm
the?
not, I'm not talking big
This
picture.
is
I'm talking Joel
oh,
centric, a Joel centric result.
Well, yeah, it
Being
depends where they're
Being
playing.
the Chepo fan that
it's
you
a
are.
home game. It's a home game.
Oh,
It's a home
it's in
game. No,
Guadalajara. It's in Guadalajara. Okay.
it's a win. Chivas has to win their home game. That's. I
So
don't care
So
how.
Chepo just has to take it. A huevo.
No, Chivas has to take it.
Well, as I'm saying, so Chepo has to take the line. In your mind, Chepo has to take the line. So this weekend, Chepo para ti no vale nada, no vale ni madres.
Yes,
He's just the other coach. He's the enemy, el enemigo.
pretty much. Yes.
Oof. Okay. All right. So no corazón dividido. You are 100%
But I had a question for Jaime because I missed the
Chiva de hueso
Atlas
colorado.
game.
Yes, what's up?
Right? Was that a cup game or was that
It was the Copa MX.
okay? Because I know they lost. They were beating Necaxa and then
They lost that.
3. Yes.
They
It was
screwed the pooch on that
it was
one.
a wonderful microcosm of how a Chepo de la Torre.
But then I think there was a controversial call too. There was a penalty last minute, and that's why they lost the game.
Ouch.
Oof.
Ouch.
Of course, never
Gotcha.
ceasing to be a controversial topic. Refereeing in Mexico.
You know what? It's the same everywhere.
It is. It's just worse.
No, it's not. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not. Trust me when I tell you, it's just not. It's not worse.
I think it's different because in England it's VAR ruining the game, and then in Mexico it's lack of use of VAR and some calls that referees look the other way as they're receiving a check under the table. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Because the referees are fixing every single match.
Not every match.
Oh,
But
not every
when
match.
you got networks that own teams and teams that are by the same owner. I mean, there's always going to be some asterisks next to some results.
Man, I should play the X-Files music for you when you.
Is this Ron? Is this Ron on the?
Yeah, no kidding. Good lord.
No,
All right.
Atlas got some
So
legit goals to beat
so
Toluca.
it sounds to me, and we'll loop back to this toward the end of the show that both of y'all because of the expectation that have been heaped upon Chivas by their fans, by the media, and it seems like by the entire planet, that Chivas should get this win against Toluca this weekend there at the Estadio Akron. All right. The big news of the week, of course, is that it was made official. Chicharito goes to LA Galaxy, becoming the highest paid player in MLS history as far as salary and then with some other incentives, etc. Um, the transfer fee was it 9 million, 10 million? It was somewhere around there. So Chicharito is now officially a member of the Galaxy. He makes his debut against Houston Dynamo, which I was really, really thrilled about when I saw that. But then I saw that it's going to be on exclusively on Univision, which is like, oh well, it was unfortunate.
Hmm.
But Chicharito is now going to be in MLS, and it turns out that has been for some reason a very emotional decision that was laid out, and apparently the emotion got to Chicharito because he was crying when he was talking about it when he was doing his vlog, and it just a very interesting week with Chicharito going to LA Galaxy and seeing some of the reactions both on both sides of the border, which I thought was interesting. So, Joel, Chicharito goes to LA Galaxy. Is this what kind of move is this for Chicharito to do this?
What kind of move? Well, I think it's the best move for him. Personally, but I know a lot of fans are disappointed. They would have preferred him staying in Europe. But I mean, I think he's looking at you know, the door's closing in on his career. Most players will retire by the time they're 35, between 31, 32. His last contract, no matter where it went, it was going to be his last contract potentially. Like his last time to do something big, try to win something, to be one of the protagonistas at club level.
I don't think he. I mean, my desire wasn't for him to stay in Europe necessarily. I think it's if he is not getting playing time. A lot of people were saying maybe if he needs to get playing time, he should move again. He just moved, and when you think about his vlog and the transparency that it gives to his life, um, is it his newborn? Well, if you hear his wife speak about it, also, it's it's sort of hard to move, and then to move again to another club, like say even like a lower club than Sevilla, or even like a second division Belgian club, which I gave in this as an example, just to stay in Europe and get playing time. He did that. Would that even be worth it? I would say, man, forget that and just go to LA Galaxy. So I'm
I
okay
think
with
we
him going to LA
yeah.
Galaxy. I think
So
he is towards the end of his career, just like Joel said. He is retiring, and I have no problem saying MLS is a retirement league. All evidence shows that MLS is a retirement league. That doesn't mean that he's going to be partying and he's not going to practice or he's not going to
Well, I
try
mean, yeah,
his best. Sure,
because I
but he's
mean,
on the
when
decline,
I
just
when
like
I think of
Faitelson said.
MLS as a retirement league, I think of uh like the guys that are over 35, like the Schweinsteigers and the Cuauhtemoc. He was what 36 when he went to MLS. That's what I think about. Chicharito does have, especially now at MLS. I think he has a good 2 to 3 years that he can give a league
Yeah, I don't see age
for
though.
sure.
I see he's not making it in Europe, so he has to come back. He's not getting minutes in Europe, and Joel and you guys can talk about
Well,
well the
What's
coaches.
that's
Let
subjective.
me
Uh,
let me finish though. Let me finish. You guys can say like the coaches or he's not getting his chance or his agent did get him to the right club. That's all within his control. He needs a good agent to get him to the right club. He needs all the circumstances to. He needs to impress the coach. If the coach likes someone else, then he needs to break that like of someone else and impress and do whatever he
what?
can futbolisticamente, and then and impress the coach to get to break in. If he doesn't, then that's on him.
Chiquis, Chiquis, I don't think it
Chick.
was in his control when Moyes went into West Ham. That was like the worst thing that could have happened to Chicharo if you're as West Ham.
Yeah, for
It's always
sure.
in his control. If he and and
Yeah, but I mean, if
it's
the coach doesn't
impossible.
favor you, then he straight up just doesn't favor you.
Yeah, I mean, is okay. Let's say if Ronaldo was under Moyes, is he gonna favor? Is he gonna like diss Ronaldo or Messi? So it is
But
in your
you're
control.
comparing Chicharo to Ronaldo and Messi,
Exactly, I am.
Well,
which
Because
are
if he
like
wants to break in,
that's just
if he
not
wants
a fair comparison right
I'm not
there.
comparing. I'm saying if he wants to break into a guy like Moyes, he's got to be Ronaldo-esque. He's got to be a superstar. He's got to like push everyone to the side, and that's what Europe is. That's what competition is. You don't go over there to be like, oh, I hope all the stars align so that like maybe the guy who's in front of me gets
Nah,
injured,
man.
and then I get the chance because he's injured, and I pop in there and I perform. No, you got to perform to where you just shove everyone out of the way. You alpha in
Yeah,
there and you
but you're
take your
talking
spot.
about like 1% there, Chiquis.
I
You're
know.
you're
That's what I'm talking about.
that's like
So the other
yeah,
percent
but
end up
that's
doing what he does and retire and go back to MLS. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point.
nah. Yes, that's a bit. Uh, that's ignoring a lot of factors that come into play, man. That's like saying it's like Raul. I think RJ9 is a good example. He couldn't fit into Simeone's system. Goes to Portugal, and even there, he has a bit of a difficult time. And what helped him was that he had a good agent who happened to place his one of his coaches in England, and that's why he went to Wolves.
And this is
Because of
two. These are two teams in a row though for Chicharito. Two teams in a row
yeah,
that
well,
are
I
not
mean, it
giving him the
happens,
minutes.
man.
So it's
It
not
Yeah, but
it's
happens.
it
I
may not
wouldn't
just be
necessarily
the
call
coach.
West Ham a failure. I mean,
Well,
like
not a
Freud said. I
failure,
mean,
but was he getting the
he,
ideal minutes towards the end? What were his reason for taking a pay cut and going to Sevilla? Was he getting the ideal minutes? The same with Sevilla. He took a pay cut and now he's at Sevilla. They
yeah,
say
but
But I think that's a
sometimes things just don't work out. I mean, you're not
exactly.
going to you're not going to bat 1,000 every single place you go. It's
Exactly.
just not realistic.
And that's the
yeah,
reason why he's leaving, and I agree with him leaving because things are not working out. He's
yeah.
on the
But let's
decline with
let's
his age.
I'm not sure why you think anyone was arguing with you.
I'm not. I'm not saying no one's arguing with me. I'm just saying this is the fact. And him returning back is like he said, the beginning of his retirement. He's on the decline. His age
yeah
is up there. His dad even says so to him that he's at the point where it's not a straight line and you're not going to be at the highest level all the time. And it's okay for him to, take comfort. He deserves it and go to a league where he's going to be the undisputed starter and get all the minutes he needs.
well
Why?
let's
Because he's
let's
on a
let's
lesser league. There are less opponents that are going to try to take his position.
Who
let's
cares?
No,
he's
I'm not
always got
saying
low
anyone cares. I'm
blow.
just stating the facts. I'm just
He's
stating
got
the
Okay,
facts.
but again, but I
a
mean,
growing punch.
that's great. But I mean, he's going to play, and he's going to score lots of goals, and it's going to be fun to watch him. What is so awful about that?
There's nothing awful about that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
he is at the decline of his career. He is
Uh,
retiring.
Well,
So there's no reason
exactly, which
for
is why.
not calling
Right.
MLS a
no one's
retirement league.
arguing. Nobody's
Yeah.
arguing the
Right.
opposite though. No one's over here saying that. I think the thing is with
Chicharito
Chicharito is,
is. Chicharito is arguing it. He's
Right.
defensive
Right.
on all these points that I'm making.
yeah,
Hey man,
dude, but no
Chicharito
one's no
is
one's
is a
arguing.
hired. He's a hired gun. Is what he is to come into MLS right now. That's what he is.
The way I see it is, it was sometimes things don't work out, just like John said, and it's obviously very emotional for him because he still feels that he can compete in Europe. And a lot of us that were hating on him and a lot of us that were upset of his decision to go to the MLS is because we know that he is still good enough to compete in Europe. Maybe not Sevilla, it just wasn't the right manager or whatever the case may be, but he still has the qualities to go out there and compete uh, in a different team, in a different league. For him to go all the way to the MLS, I think it was premature, especially because he's only been at Sevilla since September. I mean, that's not enough time for you to call it quits. But he's just frustrated. He wants to play. He wants to play every single day, and this just happened to be the right move at the right time. And he's gonna kill it over there in the MLS. He's gonna score goals. He's gonna be going back to what he was doing best, and that's just playing every single game.
And
And
if he was younger, I think he would have stayed because he would have had more time to compete and maybe like not start every game. But
yeah,
he's getting older, so he doesn't have time to waste and
Well,
be riding the
just
bench.
remember the kind of style, the style of player that Chicharito is when he was 21, and now he's 31. So it's been what 10 years since he went over to Europe. Now imagine a 21-year-old that plays like Chicharito,
Exactly.
and
That's
then
his
Chicharito trying to play like he was 21. I mean, who's going to look? He just
exactly.
he has to find a different skill set. You know, you guys are right. He's entering the last phase of his career.
So his coaches aren't crazy.
So I'm sorry.
So his coaches aren't crazy for going
What's
after
crazy?
for like benching him for some young kid who's only scored like 3 goals or whatever. So there is some reason to there is some intelligence behind the Sevilla coach and the West Ham coach and the
I'm
guys
not
who
saying
sort
that
of
that's what happened to him. I'm just painting a picture.
yeah. I
And
mean
Luke
I
De
agree.
Jong's only 2 years younger than Chicha. He's
Yeah,
29,
I mean,
and he came from like the Dutch league. So I don't think it was much of Luke De Jong's better than Chicharito. I just think that he straight up didn't have a good relationship with Lopetegui.
Yeah. So there you go.
And Lopetegui, or what was it Chicharo said in his Naked Humans thing, that Lopetegui got mad at him for even talking to Galaxy and showing that you're not concentrated on Sevilla. You're already concentrated about 1 foot out the door. So
Yeah.
you're not being professional. You know what I mean? So I think like he just had a bad relationship with Lopetegui, and this is what happened. That
Yeah,
happens in football,
and
man.
I side with Chicharito on that. I think you can look at other offers, and they even
And still
stressed it.
be
It wasn't him.
concentrated.
It
Yeah.
wasn't him. It was his team that was dealing with all this stuff. He was concentrated, and he's a professional. I know he's a professional. He's got like the strongest of mentalities as far as having pressure in big games with big clubs. And he was even asked going to LA Galaxy if he's going to feel pressure trying to win titles for Galaxy, and he said no. He thrives off of that. But when it comes to pressure from the press or pressure of criticism or him going on his Twitter replies and seeing people hating on him, and he sees Faitelson, he tries to he quote tweets Faitelson because he's hating on him. That's where he gets all defensive. That's where he gets sensitive, and that's where his like life coach feeds him all this like response of arguing and defending and justifying his stuff. When he straight out said he's on the decline, he's retiring, calls it pretty much a retirement league. He corrects himself and says, uh, that's not what he meant, but he pretty much just states the obvious. A lot of people are saying that the Spanish translation was not correct, that he was just leaving, and then he pretty much states, yeah, it's retiring, he's on the decline. But just because you're saying you're beginning retirement, that doesn't mean that MLS isn't. He's not saying MLS isn't a retirement
well,
league. So that's my like. I
well,
mean, I don't care either way. My sort of thing that chuckle at is just his defensiveness and his sort of
He's
trying to
quite
justify.
defensive, and I don't think he made the right decision of how he went about announcing this. I don't know. I just feel like you make your decision and you move forward. You don't upload a video the day after your interview with the MLS of you breaking down about this move. Like it just doesn't look good, man. And it just goes back to like all the people that are criticizing him because they see that he's not as confident as he used to be and that he's not surrounded by the right people. I don't think he's being surrounded by the right people. The people that gave him the best advice was his family, was his parents. But he's surrounded by the wrong people, man. They're all just leeching off of him and they're all, yeah, we're gonna go to Los Angeles. Like, who the hell are you, bro? Like you're just like a life coach friend or whatever.
it's
He's like,
it,
yeah,
it
I'm gonna sell my Lamborghini so we can move in and maybe we'll have the same house. And like, dude, what the hell happened, bro? Like, who are these people?
well,
I don't know. It's
I
just
don't have too much. Like I've seen a lot of people actually say that he needs to get rid of that guy.
yeah,
And
he
and
does.
I see like how he influences him and how he like tries to be all philosophical with him and his mentality and his state of mind and his confidence and all that. I don't think it's really necessary, but I don't have too much of a problem with him like coming out into the open and being transparent with his blog and stuff. I think
Hmm.
it's sort of neat to see the insides of and his emotions and how he works with his family and things. Um, it exposes him to criticism and stuff like that, but I don't have too much of a problem with it really. Other people do. Like other people are saying that he never should have recorded that video, never should have posted that video to the public. I sort of like it. I enjoyed it. I don't think anything negative of him after seeing it. I think it shows him his emotions. It's like he's a real person.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's the last thing that that people want to remember about people that they see on little boxes.
Chichachillon. But I mean, that's all gonna change. He's gonna go to
Well,
MLS.
the last time he was crying, I remember he cried on TV with Leon Krause. He went on like an unbelievable tear. So maybe that's what gets him going, or
I think he just needs therapy, bro.
some tears. Sometimes you just gotta have a good cry, man. It
he
happens.
he needs. I think he needs a therapist.
Well, that's
Um,
what that guy is, man. He's supposed to be like his life therapist.
no, that's not a. He's not a therapist. That guy, I wouldn't trust that guy. He
You know,
needs
you
an
know
actual
some
like doctor.
something I found interesting. I didn't know about. Jaime mentions Lopetegui and that falling out, and I have to link that with Chicharo taking a pay cut and something else he said in the vlog when he's talking to his dad, and he says, "I'm not willing to make sacrifices,
Like those yeah.
no, just to be able to compete."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I feel like probably the directivo promised him, "Hey, if you come to Sevilla, you know, you could be our key one of our key players." And he does this jump, and then the coach is probably, you know, doesn't have that. He's
But
just
what's
not
what's the name of
promising him
the
that.
what's the name of the famous GM? Is it Ponchi at Sevilla?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not
Ponchi.
sure.
Anyway,
What?
I believe his name is Ponchi. Ponchi. Anyway,
Ponchi.
so I think Ponchi brought him, and I don't think Lopetegui had just one of the he just probably had no interest in having Chicharito on his team.
Yeah.
And if that happens, that happens. Like Rato, sometimes things don't work out. And if Chicharito made a rash decision, then he made a rash decision. Who are we to tell him otherwise? I personally believe that this is as everyone pointed out, it's the start of the next phase of Chicharito's life, and I think it's gonna if things go well for him in MLS, which I think they will, then I think that he is going to end up being working as a commentator for TV, but not for TUDN or for Televisa. I think it's going to be for Fox, and it's going to be in English. And
Oh, one thing. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But one thing I thought that was interesting in all of this is that Chivas were not a team that approached him.
well, they couldn't.
Well, yeah.
And even if they
Remember, you, you,
couldn't,
you you
it's
can't
just
play for three
interesting.
teams. So why on earth would they approach him if they can't have him on the team?
Well, they said that the last time that he had contact with Chivas was World Cup year. So
Yeah, but even to bring him, you're talking about 40 million transfer.
no.
Not. Well, I mean, you have to include wages.
Well, I mean,
so
yeah,
so you think 10 million or 12, whatever he's gonna cost, especially if we're going further back, and then
Yeah, and
his
then it's
wages
Chivas, so
for
they'd have to pay at least double, probably triple for Chicharito
I
than
don't
anybody
think the
else.
money would have been an issue. I just
Chivas.
think that it's important to bring up because people are saying, well, if you are gonna make this move, if you are gonna begin, and I was one of those people that said, man, why didn't he go to Chivas instead of like LA
Well,
Galaxy?
that's part of it. I mean, wages.
And
Chivas does.
yeah,
There's no way
Think
they could
about that. Yeah, think about the highest wages they pay. It's about 2 million. 2.5 is probably what was peak Pulido making. Uh, and Chicharito is making close to 7. He's making what, three of their best paid
see,
players would make.
and this is why I think this is a massive indictment on Liga MX. Mass it is the fact that their most popular team, one, can't get a TV deal in this country, and two, doesn't have any kind of financial footing to make a deal where they could have gotten Chicharito.
How
but
true.
If you want to be a big boy league, and this is supposed to be a big boy team, that's how you make you need to make big boy moves, and the fact that it's so out of the realm of possibility that they can't even entertain it is just what does that say about Liga MX and about Chivas?
disagree. I think that MLS. I think that the MLS has to overpay for players to get them to play in their league. Whereas in Mexico, you're not going there because we're forcing you to. You're going there because it's a competitive league and it's respected in the world. and you don't have to overpay
What
for the same
I don't
talent.
think they overpaid.
And no one even
Chivas
knows
paid
that
10 million
CantinaMX
for
even
Pulido.
exists.
Chicharito is not worth 7 million a year. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. He is not worth
You,
at his age. He is not worth that much money salary. He's
do,
probably
do you
worth
know? Do you know his
realistically.
camisas? What? You,
Realistically, he should be paying. He should be
Joel,
getting 2 to 3.
Joel,
what?
can you remind me what city has the largest Mexican population outside of Mexico in the U.S.?
Should be Los Angeles.
Okay,
I think Jaime needs to be reminded that jersey sales just skyrocketed, and their season tickets already. I think they're already
Oh, I'm not. I'm
they
not.
double or
I'm
triple.
not discrediting how much money he's gonna generate. I'm just saying that
Well, I mean
it's
that counts into what he's worth.
it's a
exactly.
different like look at Gignac. We don't really know how much he's actually making. They
Yeah, I heard about 6 million, between five
because
and six was the last I heard. But then he did resign, but he's like 35 now.
Yeah, but the reality
he's making a
is that
lot of money.
there's only three clubs in Liga MX that even come close to being able to compete on that level, and that's it.
But I
Yeah, and
believe
it's because of who owns them, not so much
Right.
because of the club.
Exactly. That's because they're the only ones that have the cash.
all I know is I know for a fact that money was not a factor into like the possibility of Chicharito coming back to Chivas. It's not because they can't afford him.
What?
I
Come
don't I
on,
don't.
dude. You're. I don't know what your no TV contract. That means less in sponsorship, even in the U.S.
What about the
sponsorship. That's
$7 a month they're getting from us from Chivas TV, man?
what
That isn't.
about they show us the numbers and then we could see how much they really made
I don't think
because they're
I don't
not
think Ron
releasing any numbers.
I don't think Ron could diss Chivas as much as you guys are currently.
We're not. Nah, man.
I'm
We're
not
not.
dissing.
Poor little
It's just
Chivas, man. They can't take a few pesos out of their bolsa to pay a Chicharito. It's pretty sad the state of affairs going
Well, I
on in
mean,
Mexico.
we can't ignore
Well, let me
Chivas
ask you
has
this.
had financial problems.
But again, this is not something that's been like this is just happening to Chivas. This is Chivas has been Chivas situation for at least the past 15 years.
Well, even going back to La Promotora in
Yeah, I
the
mean it's not like this
early
is anything.
'90s. Yeah, that they had to rent the club out. I mean, why would you imagine like that's like hearing that like Real Madrid had to rent out their club to some group that was gonna manage it because they couldn't make enough money to sustain it.
We're gonna
And that like what was it, Promotora, and they had the team for about 10 years, and then they had to sell it. Like even after 10 years, the socials couldn't even make enough money to be like, okay, we're gonna sustain. We've recovered financially. We got this. Nope, they sold it. They straight out first buyer, first come, first serve. It's Vergara ended up with Chivas.
we're gonna are we gonna change to the Galactico crest? We're gonna buy a jersey with the Galactico crest, become a Cambia Países. No, but as far as the Chivas, my opinion on what Jaime was saying as far as going to Chivas, I understand. The thing that's sort of weird is how in the press conference today with Chicharito sort of reacts again defensively and sort of like looks down on everyone who even mentioned him going to Chivas. He couldn't. He says he couldn't go to Chivas, and we all know this. True. But what about staying in Europe a little bit until he could? Or what about going to Galaxy like he did right now, and then going for like a year or two or three, winning some titles, and then going to Chivas eventually, which he still might do. But I
That's
highly doubt
exactly
it.
what's going to happen.
I think I doubt that though, because check this out. He's got a family. He don't need to live in Mexico. His wife was complaining about how Sevilla is like 20, 25 years in the past. They don't have Uber Eats. They don't have all this stuff. And what is Guadalajara going to be? Is Guadalajara better than Sevilla as far as a city with commodities, technology, and
Hey,
all
they
these?
have they have
It
they
could
have
They
be
have
Rappi.
because
they have the taxi. The
They
what's
have
it called?
Rappi. Yeah, and they have Uber in Guadalajara. They have
You
Uber
think
in
They
she
have
you
Puerto
the
think
Vallarta.
she's going to go in that dirty Uber?
dirty Uber. Come on. Well, it depends what part of Sevilla
What are
you
you
live
trying to
too,
say,
man.
bro? What are you trying to
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
man?
Hey man, I'm just piling on. I'm just piling
Hey,
on
bro,
with you
in
guys.
Mexico they have the mototaxi and they deliver food to you to your doorstep,
Yeah,
bro.
with
I don't,
Rappi.
Oh, okay.
yeah, bro.
Ahí tú
Man.
What-
estás, no Rappi.
Well,
I
I
Hey,
understand
well,
what I understand what you're saying though. I think
but
he might do like a Oribe Peralta and just do like like a half a season and just all right. I wore the jersey. Bye. Going back to LA.
wait,
yeah.
wait. I need to say the whole thing. I found it kind of funny. The whole Sevilla's 25 years behind. Well, it depends what part you live too. That's because that's a really old city. You know, this like really old. They still have Roman columns in certain areas. So yeah, I find that was that from the Naked
That was
Humans
from the
comment?
Exactly.
Naked
Yeah.
Humans.
She didn't have
She was
she didn't have internet in one room or something like that.
she was like, you
I
know,
She's Australian, right?
after a long day of babysitting, I just want to like order food to my door and all I have is McDonald's and I was just like, "Oh my god. Who did you marry,
I'm
chica?"
not, I'm not
I
I'm not
didn't.
gonna bring this into it, but I showed some of this stuff to my wife, and I won't tell you guys what her reaction was. I won't even bring it.
Uh,
Let's
Oh,
not.
why?
We can change subjects.
Oh,
I wonder what part they were in though.
you can tell
that
us
would
after the podcast.
when the places they were eating looked pretty nice. I mean, that looks like a nice. And I've actually been there.
Hey,
It was a long time ago, but
we have special guest Hugo Sanchez, man. I would like to hear his hot take on Chicharo.
I think Hugo's
He's just
he's a
tuned in to listen.
he's
He's a
just listening.
listen only tonight.
yeah, sometimes he
He's
does chime in, but he might be busy.
he might chime in later.
I think he might be wrestling people or something.
So, let's talk about the fans that are going to be there's I feel like there's a specific type of fan that is going to go to a Chicharito MLS game. And
Puros
we saw
salvadoreños.
Here we go, Galaxy! Here we go! Here we go, Galaxy! Here we go!
He ain't wrong though. Hugo ain't wrong.
cuz I mean, you all saw the videos of him at the airport and a lot of the fans that they interviewed on Univision, they were like speaking Spanglish. They were like throwing in English words when they when they didn't have the Spanish equivalent, and you know they're just
One of them had a blue and white flag. I saw some girl cheering in their English chants, their English songs for LA Galaxy. So
let's just say when it comes to the comal and the tortillas, they use a fork to flip the tortillas instead of using their bare hands. That's the type of people we're dealing with.
The fork.
Are you telling me that you actually use a comal to heat your tortillas?
How else are you supposed to do it, man? With
To run
and
over
you
the
don't
flame.
over the flame. That's if you want a specific type of
tostada.
char.
The
But
kid
it's
I was
just
talking to
I
called
just
Star
think
Wars.
it's interesting. Sorry, man, you cut out.
The other day. Joel, you'll love this. I was talking about Star Wars. Hey, so I was watching A New Hope the other day, and I said, "What is A New Hope?" He said, "It's Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope."
Oh, jeez.
Or as my mom would say, "Hazme el favor."
The lack of knowledge upsets me.
It's just interesting, right? Because you got obviously first generation Mexicans and they fall into one side or the other where like they grew up super close to their culture and like speaking Spanish fluently and they support, you know, Chivas America and the national team. And then you got the other ones that were like, I don't know, they didn't speak English or Spanish growing up and they're kind of like molding into the like the American culture. They like soccer because like their dad likes soccer and then but it's the MLS and it's like easier to follow. You know, you can go to the games and they're speaking your language, and then you got a big Mexican store that comes over, and then all of a sudden you're just
No, what
you're a season ticket holder.
I think you said it right there. You could go to the games. So if you're someone that wants to regularly go to the games, then you're more likely to go
Mm-hmm.
to MLS instead of waiting for the summer or the winter. Twice a year or whatever for your team to come and play in your city. Uh, So I think that's the main thing, and that's the one thing that's going to be happening with stuff like Leagues Cup and other stuff where you're going to have Mexican teams coming more often playing, and not just like an amistoso, but at least playing for something.
So do you smell? Do you
¿Qué
smell
pasó,
down? Do you smell down the road?
señores y señoras? First of all, I'd like to point out the hypocrisy of my buddy Jaime.
Penta, por favor.
Sir, I'd like to point out the hypocrisy of my homie Jaime over here, acting like ESPN's Alvaro Morales. All of a sudden, he's leading the crusade against Chivas when we all know he's the biggest Chicharito fanboy around.
I was until he made that decision of retiring.
Cálmate, cálmate. Estás como el otro güey que abandonó a las Chivas después del Gulli Peña. No mames. Anyway, as far as what kind of fan base Chicharito's going to be facing, probably still a lot of Mexican haters, a lot of Central Americans. In fact, I mean, I don't have the dates on this, the stats, but I want to say that part of the built-in LA rivalry in the MLS, which I'm not a proud season ticket holder, but I am an LAFC season ticket holder, for the record, and I'll admit that. Chivas, I'm sorry, Chivas. LAFC has kind of become the.
Hugo, this is. I gotta play this, man.
Me estoy avergonzado.
All right, continue. Please continue.
Y la neta que sí, güey. La neta que sí. Me da pena. But to be honest, and I hope they don't kill my account.
Muy triste, ¿no?
I've sold plenty of my game tickets on StubHub or La Reventa, if you will.
So
For
are you
multiple.
serious? Hey, I bought season tickets, but I never went. I swear to God, I never went. I never went.
No, I've gone I think 6 or 7 times in 2 years. Be that as it may, and I don't have the raw data on this. Maybe Joel can help me out here. But it seems like part of the built-in rivalry with LAFC and the Galaxy is that it seems like the Central Americans and, by default, all the Mexican haters have gravitated towards supporting the Galaxy, whereas a predominantly Mexican and Mexican-American Pocho crowd supports the LAFC. I'm no wizard on that. Don't quote me on it, but that's just my perceived that's just my perspective on things. Standing in the 3252 standing room section over at the bank of Carlos Vela Stadium.
So you sit in the supporter section. Y me dices
Carlos Vela.
que nomás has sido 6 veces, and you're in the 325 to the 3252.
Ya está, Vela.
I think he's right. I think you're
Yeah, I
right.
actually I have 4 tickets, and I typically sell them each match I cannot attend or anything that's a little juicy. Anything above, I believe I paid $22 a seat, and I sell anything that's above $60 guaranteed.
I want to
Yeah, it is
believe.
a
I
hot
want to
sale,
believe.
man.
I want to believe that. I sort of tend to believe that, and that's an interesting fact. If that's the case, that Central Americans will be supporting LA Galaxy and the Mexicans supporting LAFC. A lot of Mexicans might be Cambia Los Angeles, Cambia
Well, that
Angelinos or
was
something.
Angeles.
Cambia
Cambia
Angeles.
Angeles.
They'd be like, oh, Chicharito's
well
over there.
that was their to-go team because they had Cienfuegos for a long time, and then they had Little Fish.
Chiqui, since they're now both over here, would it be would they be Cambia Pochos?
Cambia Pochos, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Cambia
I like that,
Angels,
see?
Cambia Angeles. I think
Fans that jump or Cambia Angeles, yeah, fans that jump from one. Speaking of which, we haven't had Profe Cambia Rayas on here in a long time. We know he must have been very conflicted watching that Chivas Pachuca match earlier.
He was glad it was a tie.
But, I'll bet he was. See, that's what I was waiting for Joel to tell us that he wanted the Chivas versus Chepo, which technically, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, that would be technically. Ask me if I'm wrong, Joel, but it would. Unidos y divididos por el amor a la camiseta. Esto es Chiva contra Chiva. So would that be technically a Chiva contra Chiva, Joel? Chepo versus Chivas?
Yeah, it kind of is. The De La Torre name is just ingrained in Chivas. You just can't talk about Chivas without mentioning De La Torres.
All right.
I'm,
All right. So
I'm surprised you guys haven't talked about the Dorados game. Are you guys
The
waiting on that?
Copa game.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys haven't
what that
started making
Chivas
fun of
lost
us.
to a second division team at home?
Yeah,
There's nothing to be said. Although I have to ask you, Jaime, if Chivas does lose, at what point? How long will it be before the Chia hermanos get going?
Chivas, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat. Chivas is coincidentally the return leg is gonna be shown on Chivas TV. Just saying.
Well, it has to be because they can't be on. No, that's not true because it's going to
Yes,
be
it is.
it's going to be in Culiacan.
Yeah,
it's-
but they
bought
announced it already.
they bought the rights
Oh, they
for
did?
that. Yeah, they did.
I'm just throwing out there, you know,
Aren't you lucky? Aren't you lucky that you'll be able to watch that?
make of it of what you will, but you know.
I will say this for all the fans saying, "Well, why aren't they putting the reversals in?" You know, they bought all these. Well, now we know why. They put all the new players in, and they just look completely out of sync.
Well, of
And
course, it's because they are out of sync. I mean, let's be
It's-
honest. It takes time.
It's not FIFA, man. You know, it's not like you can just
So that
open.
was the
It's
correct
not like you can
language.
open a player pack and boom, put them in, and the magic
Right.
happens. You know, so
when the national team would play a friendly and they looked disjointed, especially the second half where there's like nothing but cambios, right? And it's dudes that have never played together before. People, oh my god, they look terrible. This is the worst Mexico game I've ever. Just on and on and on. It's like, what did you expect? It always cracks me.
yeah.
So yeah, of
This-
course they're going to be disjointed. I mean, honestly, a win there would have been a miracle, a miracle.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that Alexis Vega got injured. He's gonna be out for probably about a month.
That is very unfortunate. But I will say this: that El Chicote, that dude has some skills.
Chicote
He is a good
is
player.
yeah. He was basically a left mid the whole game. Like I know his position is left back, but he was just so aggressive.
He is a
And-
good player.
And he's actually one of the few players that should be starting every single game.
He's the kind of
From the-
player that like if you have a 5-3-2 would just he'd be like just like a straight up carrilero like that can shoot. Just absolutely do all kinds of damage. Like when Guardado was a really young player. That's the kind of player he was.
Yeah, he looks good. It was also nice to see Chevy Martinez for a little bit. I think he's going to be the future. And they also introduced a new player, Ortiz, but I think he was prematurely put in the starting lineup. I don't think he was ready.
As my my analyst on my when I do my pregame show says, hey man, the only way they're going to get better is they got to be on the field. So let them be on the field.
True. There was a lot of upsets in the Copa MX. Morelia lost to Cafetaleros. Like 4-1. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, and then I know that Pumas lost to Santos pretty ugly, not in the most aesthetically pleasing ways, and they had a kid get a 17-year-old kid who makes his debut get a red card erroneously, and Martin Barragan, who's been a complete failure at Pumas, just hasn't done anything.
John, I'm glad you brought up Pumas. Sorry to cut you off right there. I don't want to forget.
I'm glad you did.
You glad- No, because this is Pumas related, and I wanted your take. I don't know if you saw this article, and Martin was linking to it, and this guy was talking about what's been going on at UNAM.
Oh, I haven't read
And I
it,
don't
but
know
I'm
if you-
sure it's.
Yeah, he highlights a bunch of stuff, and
Am I gonna have to be
saving it.
sitting down when I'm reading this?
I think you will, and I saw it, and it's like, oof, he
Well,
has a lot of detailed stuff.
Should I, Joel? I need to get some confirmation. when I'm sitting down, should I be sitting down at a very specially designated area of the house?
Well, probably not that bad, but I mean,
Okay, okay, all right.
you know, is we talk about teams that should be doing better, and I know we were hammering on Chivas, but Pumas is right, is in the seat right next to Chivas.
Oh yeah,
As far as like,
You're
as
absolutely
far
right. There's no question.
yeah, especially for the attraction they create and the popularity and all that. They're just not where
Right.
where they should be.
And the other one, frankly, is Cruz Azul. I mean, it's time for them to put up or shut up too, and they need to, and I think getting rid of Peláez. Here's another example. With Peláez, did he think he was going to make it work with Hurtado? It turned out not, because that guy that Hurtado. Did you see what happened to the guy that Hurtado brought? Joel, did you see where he ended up?
Which guy? Because he brought a lot of guys.
El Paul Fernandez.
See, that's a good player, and you're in Boca. That they're not gonna take just anyone.
Right.
I do think that was.
What does that say about? Hey, thanks Cruz Azul for giving this guy and this guy on a bar. I'm sure for a bargain.
Yeah, because you know what? They let him go, you know, which happens a lot of times, and you have like player. A lot of times, there's probably someone way better than you. So every now and then, you got some talented guy fall through the cracks, and then he ends up in two teams that end up both of them fighting for the league championship. I think he did one. I think he won one, and then the other one they were runner up. But regardless, I mean, man, that was a good capture, and then he just came in with all the turmoil going on, and now he's back at Boca. So I won't be
Right.
surprised if in a year we see him in Europe, or maybe they sell him to MLS for a really high price.
Or scoring the winning goal in the Libertadores final.
I'm like, oh man, I don't. Yeah, it's sad what's going on at Cruz Azul now, where it's like they don't even have their transfers in order. They still looking for players. Coach is about to get sacked 2 games into the season. I think if you're a Cruz Azul fan at this point, you go from cutting, what is it, sideways instead of across. I would.
At that point, you would just say, you know what, I've been an albañil my entire life. Maybe it's time for me to become a carpenter.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
know,
know
I
that
feel bad for.
yeah, I do too, because I'm Cruz Azul. Uh, I grew up in a period during Mexican soccer where Cruz Azul were the gigantic masters of the universe. I mean, they were by far the biggest team in Liga MX, and it wasn't even close to who was second. I mean, they were just huge. I mean, they played at the Azteca. They were they always had the 5 o'clock Saturday game, so they were always on first, and they just won everything, and were just had half the national team were Cruz Azul players. Uh, they had it going on, and they got a lot of fans because of that. And I went to that League's Cup final. It was between Cruz Azul and Tigres, and this was in Las Vegas. And Tigres, this team that's supposed to have fans all over the, create. There was no doubt that Cruz Azul was the home team there, even in Las Vegas. I mean, they have a huge following, and for them to, as Juan says, like Pumas, to not be able to keep up with what's happening in Liga MX, it's an indictment on them, but to me, it's more of an indictment on the league. I think the league is they're in a position where they could probably help their teams a little more, but they won't. And it seems like they don't have the vision to do that. So hopefully they will at some point.
Wow.
Pobrecitos.
I don't know if you. I was playing "My Heart Will Go On," but I don't think the mic picked it up, man.
I heard a little bit. I heard like, and I thought that was John playing it.
So Jaime had never experienced the sad flute. He got it last week when he was
Oh, that.
actually talking about why Chicharito didn't choose Chivas. He was
Yeah, it was.
so I played the sad flute for him while he was talking about it.
I mean, look. I think Jaime. I mean, look. Massa didn't return to Chivas. Neither did pretty much no one that's gone to Europe has come back to Chivas. They've gone to
Yeah, but
America. They've gone to Tigres, but not Chivas.
Salcido, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
it's
so
just
to
different.
yeah,
It's a
even
different.
Fabian.
It's
So
different
to
when when it's a striker, and it's different when it's like, you know,
popular, the most popular player.
because Romano
Uh,
Bravo came back. You know what I mean? He ended up taking the scoring record for us, and
Didn't he
Wait,
play
did he
Atlas
come?
before he went back to
he
Chivas?
played Cruz Azul, Tigres, Atlas. I mean,
He also came back to
he
Tigres.
went to
Yeah, I think he.
MLS.
No, but I think he came back to Tigres first.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, but so my thing is like, none of the Chivas that have left returned straight
Yeah.
to Chivas. They've gone to other clubs. Then
I know he'll end up eventually, but
maybe not, man. I think because look, I think that what Amaury was saying from the interview, because he had an interview.
he's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, whatever it takes. I'm like, really?
Yeah, but that's what he said. But I mean, and Chicharo said how he hasn't been approached
He's like, I haven't even
since
Exactly.
no one's ever even
in
approached
years.
me, man.
Well,
What are
see,
you
that's
talking about?
that's the kind of shows that type of long-term planning. It's like LAFC, for example. They wanted Chicharo for a long time.
They
They
did.
were trying to court him. They did that big
That
banner
game
in
that
one
I
of the
that game
Moleros.
that I went to, yeah, that game that I went to in LA, Joel against Croatia, where Chicharito
Yes.
scored a goal, and the LA Coliseum went bananas. By the way, uh, there was a huge a tifo from LAFC asking Chicharito, "Hey Chicharito, think about LAFC." I mean, they were openly courting him.
Yeah, and I bet they've been courting him, not just like LAFC. I think after they got Bella, I think that's where all their money went. But I think the league and different teams from this league were courting him and trying to see how they could accommodate him. He eventually was like, man, no one else is gonna give me this type of attention. Might as well take it, man.
Let me ask you guys this, since we're talking about Vela. Who's gonna score more goals next season, Chicharo or Vela?
I I think Chicharo has the potential to score more because I think he's in a overall stronger squad. So I think he could he could yeah he could do that. I see LAFC and I wish Joaquin would have stayed here long enough to tell us because he's gone to 6 games. I think that's six more than any of us. That's six more than any of us.
So
But
he outed himself. He outed himself as an LAFC supporter tonight.
I don't think so. I
He's been
think
open about
You know,
it.
he might lose his Penta Pichichi status with that.
I'd have to
Yeah.
disagree.
He's-
I think Vela has the best chance to score.
How many did he score last season? 34.
Yeah, he broke the MLS record. I don't think he gets that many this time. I think they both get over if they both stay healthy. Because when you're over 30, things are you're gonna have to maintain your. I hope Javier's life coach reminds him that he has to keep his body going. He can't do what Giovanni did when he went to LA and
I need to
go
make
the,
I mean, it must be tough for Vela, right? You were the MVP, you scored the most goals, and you still couldn't get the job done. So it's like, how do you come back from that? Obviously, he's probably going to take it a little bit differently this season.
he can't do it all himself. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to have a disagreement with Joel on who's gonna. I think Vela would take it. Vela would beat out Chicharito. And then what Hugo said, which was, oh shoot, what did he say?
Hugo Sanchez.
Lost my train of thought. I think
In regards to what?
in regards to the LAFC and Chicharito, all this whole the whole rivalry. Continue on. I forgot. I'll think of it in a second.
Um,
Totally lost my train of thought.
Well, I think they'll both get
Well,
over 20 goals while Chiquis is thinking
Oh
about what
no
he's
no
trying to
no
say.
no!
Oh, he got it. He found it.
I gotta take
Go.
I take offense to Hugo dissing on my man Alvaro Morales. I'm a
oh,
huge
oh,
fan.
he compared you.
I'm a huge fan of
Mor-
I'm a huge fan of
he's a
Carlos
troll
Albert.
though.
I'm a huge fan of Alvaro Morales, and he has stated that he predicts Chicharito to score between 15 and 20
15
goals.
and 20. Mm-hmm.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree more on the 15 side of things, but we shall see.
I also think that it's very unrealistic for Chicharito to come in and say, "Hey, we're gonna win some silverware," whereas
Well,
Slatan.
what is he supposed to say?
Yeah. What?
I just think that's like, yeah, we're gonna win like silver like right now. Yo, chill,
Hey,
like
Chicharito, you're the highest paid player in
What?
MLS. What do you want to do in MLS?
Slatan.
Well, I just want to take it one game at a time and see. Come on, man. Of course he's gonna say we want to win silverware.
This
Well, I
this
mean,
is a team that's been
He didn't.
building for that though. Jaime,
yeah,
they
but
brought
the
in
Dude,
the thing is,
Dennis.
it's like they
He's
couldn't
been
do it
slowly
with
building that
Slatan.
team.
They couldn't do it with Slatan, and you're telling me that he's better than Slatan?
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, but you don't
Who's
need
telling?
to
Who's saying that?
Well, he's not. He can't do what Slatan. He can't. If Slatan can't do it, he's not going to do it definitely. And he's doesn't even have
they're
the range of
different
skill that
players though,
Slatan
man.
does.
Come on,
They're
they're
That's what I'm
different
different.
saying. That's what I'm
players.
saying. He's lesser of a player. He's a different
He is
player, but
lesser
he's
of
a
a
less
player.
lesser
100% agree with that.
of a well-rounded
Chiquis,
player.
Chiquis, you're well versed in Bible verses, right? David Goliath, the bigger guy doesn't always win.
Correct. That's
Take
correct.
your Chiquis back to Sunday school.
That's correct. What does that have to do with this though?
Well,
I
because you're
just think
saying
that
that he's not Zlatan, that he's not going to be able to do it. I mean,
they're
you
different
know,
players, but I just can't think of one aspect of Chicharito's game that's gonna put him over the edge over Slatan.
He needs his team.
You know what I mean?
He's more
But why does
dependent
it
on his
have to?
team. He's more dependent on his teammates. Chicharito Zlatan was able to do more stuff on his own and like take the team on his shoulders. Chicharito can't do what Zlatan was able to do, and even with that advantage, Zlatan wasn't able to do it. So Chicharito's going to need, like Joel, you're saying that they've been slowly building up a team.
yeah.
Well, let's see if that's true. I mean, I haven't seen too great of players. I've seen
What, dude?
from
They
on the
they
offensive side.
have
I think
Jonah,
LAFC.
right?
I think
Yeah, but
LAFC has had some better offensive players. The defenses was just horrific, but as far as
yeah,
offense, I
because
think LAFC had
like
better
what
than Galaxy.
what has changed? What has changed in LA Galaxies that's all of a sudden has made them
Yeah,
contenders
what
for the
other
title?
signing? What other signing have they
Yeah,
got?
They're
like they
always
haven't.
contenders for
I,
the title.
well,
They,
they were contenders since before. I mean, just because
Yeah.
LAFC knocked them out doesn't mean that all of a sudden they suck. I mean, I'm more of a LAFC fan than Galaxy fan, but even LAFC fans gonna have to admit they weren't in the head-to-head. They weren't the. I think the playoff was the first time they beat them because they had not been able to beat them in the 2 years leading to that playoff game.
That is correct.
And so to all of a sudden say, "Oh, Galaxy's way better." I mean, LAFC is way better. Come on, man. We've seen Liguilla with Liga MX, where
but
sometimes
the thing
Puebla
is,
makes it through and then they'll
Galaxy
knock out.
Galaxy ended in fifth position. You know what I mean? Like they weren't even like
I know that
close.
these are like mid. The Galaxy and LAFC are sort of like middle, high mid tier teams. When you talk about Atlanta or even Seattle, then we're getting into like the top teams, man. These guys are definitely going to be. Both teams are definitely going to be underdogs.
Like there was no better
This,
team
this
than
by the way, this is. I
LAFC.
just want to say this is just adorable. I'm not gonna lie.
What, that we're finally talking about MLS?
That
We finally
Nah,
stooped this
we
low.
are talking about it.
We're this is the future of this is the future, man. MLS
Oh
is the
man,
future. MLS is the
so no more.
biggest league in the world. It's
MLS and Liga MX they are tied at the hip. We've been saying it
Can, can, Cantina
for
USA.
for many years on this podcast that that ultimately that both league success is going to depend on each other. And I think the sooner folks embrace that on both sides, I think the much better things are going to be.
The
And
only
it's
reason
going to
I'm
be very
talking,
competitive. It's going to be a lot of fun.
the only reason I'm talking to MLS is because Chicharito. If he wasn't there, if Vela wasn't there, I wouldn't.
That is just amazing. I wonder why uh, those teams sign those players.
Because of Mexican Americans, Central Americans, just like Ugo said. Well, I mean,
Eyeballs are eyeballs, no matter where they come from.
exactly. Central Americans have, well, we've talked about it before as far as even the national team side. They're, they have the culture for soccer. They yearn for a team, and these are the teams that are up here. They can't go to Real Madrid
It's great.
or Manchester
It's great.
United games, so
Oof. Speaking of the Premier League,
Oh man, today's game.
Raul Jimenez had a just a absolutely terrific goal.
It was beautiful.
Set up the whole play himself. Feeds the his super fast winger buddy, who's a Traore, is that his name? Who then puts up
Adamama
this
Traore.
just beautiful, just an absolutely picture perfect centering pass that Raul just leaps and snaps and puts it in the corner. It was one of the best goals I've seen him score in his club career for sure. Just a great goal.
It was beautiful, and it was
yeah,
the timing.
really,
The timing of the goal too was huge. You know what I mean? And he's killing it out there in Wolves, and it's always Bobby Firmino for some reason coming in and breaking
what a
hearts,
great
man.
player. Well, he did it to Mexico too. What a great
He
player
did
that
it
guy
to
is.
Rayados. He just came in and scored the winner.
you
And
know
then
why
he
though?
does it. He
Liverpool's a
does it
great
again.
team.
You know why he scored. You know why he's doing so well. I think Joel can give the answer if he looks up in his scriptures. Firmino recently,
Firmino?
yeah, Firmino recent wasn't it Firmino?
Oh,
He recently
he got baptized?
got
Yes, he
baptized.
did get. He did get
So he's got
by his the goalkeeper,
he's got
Allison, right?
I
He was.
listen.
Allison baptized him. He's got a special he's got the special power to do great things on the pitch for you.
The Allison's tears are what motivated him to score today.
when were you know after he scored, and I heard they broke into chant, the fans, the "Si Senor." I forgot.
Si,
But
senor.
was that about Firmino though? Were
No,
they
they
were
were
they
they.
making fun of? No, I think the Liverpools were singing that song, but they were singing it to
No,
Firmino.
no. They
It was right after he scored.
Liverpool was on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there was
but
still
they had
plenty of
their
fans
away
there.
fan.
The away
It's a
fans.
small stadium, man.
I don't know if you might be right. Maybe they did use the same chant, but with his name.
I mean, cause Wolves is in the first one. They didn't come up with that chant. It's an old chant,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
I forgot. Yeah, and I forgot who. It started in Argentina. It's from a
Oh,
Fito Páez song.
oh wow.
Y da la alegría a mi corazón, and somehow
Hmm.
it made its way to England. Yeah, it's pretty popular in Argentina. They still sing it. They use it for Libertadores though, but I forgot which player was getting sung to. But I think they did it like mocking wolves,
Huh.
and I
I'll
think
have
they
to
were
go
well,
back and
singing it
check.
to
if it was
Firmino.
today at the end, yeah, it was Firmino.
It was
But
right after Firmino scored, and so I
Right.
was like,
Because I remember hearing the chant. I just thought, oh, they're just trying to egg Raul on so he can score another goal. That's what I thought when I heard the chant
I thought the
after he
same, but
scored.
I'm
But I could
pretty
see,
sure
I
they
could
were.
see if they did do that. That's pretty brilliant. That's funny.
But that was the other thing is that there at the end he did lay one off for the guy. All he had to do was just push it into the net.
Oh,
He is obviously he killed his audition in the Premier League, and now
He's gonna make a lot of money.
you have teams like Arsenal,
well,
you have
well,
teams like Manchester United that are looking
and,
at him.
and here's the Chicha thing. The does he leave? Like, would you leave? Because you're not getting any guarantees. The way he is at Wolves, where he's like a very key player and fundamental part of that squad, he's not gonna get that anywhere else.
Well, so the reason why he's linked with Arsenal is because Luis Suarez is injured, and they're looking to replace Luis Suarez with Aubameyang. So Arsenal would have shoes to fill, and that's why they're thinking about Raul. And at Manchester United, Marcus Rashford is injured and he's out. So the reason why Raul's rumored to these teams is to legit be the guy. He's not going into a big club like that just to sit on the bench. No, this is like, yo, this is an
Especially
emergency
when they have to
situation.
pay 80, 90 million bucks for him
Yeah.
either.
I mean, right now the bids start at 70 million for this kid. So you're not gonna see
Wait, did you say Luis Suarez? Is that another
Luis
Luis Suarez? Or is it the same one, Uruguayo?
Uruguayo. He's injured. Yeah, he's out, man. He's out for the rest of the season.
Wait, he said Arsenal?
The reason, well, he's at Barcelona, right? Luis Suarez is at Barcelona.
Okay.
So Barcelona is looking to buy Aubameyang or Carlos Vela. That's another player that is rumored.
That'll never
Oh,
happen.
they're not letting him go. They're not letting him go.
Yeah.
He
But they're
has to
saying
pry
that
it out of
because
LAFC's cold dead hands.
well, Griezmann's there now, so I'm sure he's gonna.
Doesn't matter.
Are you kidding me? They're butt buddies, man. That's
It
like
doesn't matter.
you tell me Griezmann won't be convincing enough to get him.
I'm telling you that LAFC won't allow it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they're
don't,
gonna have to
I don't think
pay
it'll
up.
happen either. But I just think it's pretty interesting that like.
Well, he
even
tried
I'm
now
it.
sure that
he's-
they might
he's still-
ask.
He tried it
and
before.
Vela said it himself on a podcast that he said
He said it on
was-
this podcast
he would
exclusively.
he said that he would do it. He would have done it because it's Barcelona.
That brings up a good
Es-
point, though. I think
It's
LAFC,
the Barca.
LAFC previously, like when it was coming through, it would have been through the break. I think LAFC shut that down because they didn't want him to potentially get injured and things like that. So that's why I think it didn't work out previously. So I agree with everyone saying it's not going to work out in the future. It would be better like if they don't even go to the playoffs and then he's free on break and he can go on loan real quick to Barcelona. But that's a year
Barca
straight.
needs him right now, and
Well, no,
the
he's
MLS
yeah.
league doesn't
That's
start till
that's even remote of a possibility because the league's about to start.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
he
think it's-
wouldn't even come back till June at the earliest, and that's just not going to happen.
But it's just nice to know that even now he's still hot, man. He can still do it if he wanted to. If all the moving parts were there, I think he would still at his age still be able to compete in La Liga.
It's that special, like it's that dream, that special opportunity to play with Messi, to play on Barcelona and with those players. It's like a once, like it's like
Yeah,
the
once
only
in a
thing that would
lifetime.
motivate him to do anything like that.
That's how I feel every time I do a podcast with y'all.
Like, how can you pass it up, man?
And who mentioned that like Vela found the love for the game again out in LA?
It was Russo.
Yeah, saying that he's
He
like
says that Chicharo's going to do the same thing.
so it's like I don't know. I think it's cool because I mean Vela has always admitted this was a job for him, and he prefers basketball on his time off. So good for him. But yeah, Raul Jimenez, I don't think he leaves. I think he leaves in the summer though. I think he's too
Yeah, I
hot.
mean, they're going to make him an offer that they can't refuse. I mean, it's going to be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Because I mean, unless Wolves somehow qualifies to Champions League, this team's gonna get picked apart.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing really well, and I mean, it was unfortunate. I mean, they lost to Liverpool, who I believe they said had won 14 games in a row,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm assuming means Premier. That's impressive.
Undefeated. I
They
think
are.
they're. Yeah, I think it's like 40 games since they've lost.
Yep, it is 40. I think they tied Chelsea. So
And they
can,
tied, and officially, they also tied Monterrey. Officially. So, no, it was good to see Raul do that, and I think that a player with his skill set, which was fits what that team does very well, and he seems to be better suited to playing the long game like that, and it works out very well. And he's just a great passer of the ball. I mean, he really is. He made some. He's got a little Cuauhtemoc in him because he's making passes with parts of his body. I saw him trying to make an ass pass today.
Well, I just I just
Did
saw
you
the
did you catch that,
I
Chicky?
just saw the clip of the goal, and it just totally, like, watching it, that pass
Hmm.
that he gave so much lead on that pass, where I was like, whoa,
Right.
what is that? That's too far. But it was perfect. I
And
was
the
like,
dude just
whoa,
kept.
that was perfect, that pass. And it just totally surprised me. Like, what did he do with that pass? And I'm like, okay,
Right.
yeah, he did perfectly. Like, surprises me. So my analysis
No,
of seeing
See,
that
and then
play
that
was
to me is
totally
why
off.
soccer is such a beautiful sport.
Yeah.
Because when you see a play like that, where he makes the move to get by the guy, to the defender, and then he makes the pass, and then Troy, I think, touches it once to get it even more ahead,
Hmm.
to run by the defender, and then he centers it. So that's 2, 3. So in 4 touches of the ball, they go what 65 yards, right? And they were able to finish off a play like that. I mean, that to me is what is is uh, is why soccer to me is such a beautiful sport. Is when you see a play like that. It just, I mean, it really is amazing. It reminded me, sadly, of when Mexico played Uruguay, and the goal that Uruguay scored was kind of the same thing. It was like just 3 touches, and it was us, and they went 60 yards, and the center was perfect, and the I think it was Cavani. Was it Cavani or Suarez that scored? I forget which one. They were both involved, and it was just a perfect play, and those happen, once every 3 or 4 games. They happen so rarely to have it just play out like that, just absolutely perfect. It's like when you're golfing, and for hacks like me, and you actually on a par 4, you hit a perfect drive and a perfect second shot, and you make your 15-foot putt, and or you're a par 5, and you go to and you make a birdie. It's just it never happens. So it was great to see. All right,
As
gentlemen,
far
do
as
we? Yes, yes.
oh, nothing. I just wanted to touch on some other players that played today. As far as in Europe, nothing but straight losses. So Atletico Madrid lost in the Copa del Rey. Herrera played about 45 minutes. Guardado and Lainez both started in the Copa del Rey game, but their team got eliminated in penalties. And then also Nestor Araujo's team, Celta Vigo, also got eliminated in Copa del Rey. So
Is he playing, or is he still hurt?
who? Araujo?
Araujo.
Yeah, he's playing.
Oh, okay. I thought he'd been hurt. Well,
Yeah,
good to have him
he's
back.
yeah.
And then Chuck Lozano is another classic example of a guy who goes to a team. The coach likes him. He puts him out,
And then they
gets a
get
few goals, and then the coach is gone, and now he's got this, Gattuso guy. He's like, I don't doesn't favor him at all, and he hasn't played since.
yeah, which is what like if you're Raul, do you leave that? Would you want to leave that? I mean,
personally, I would love
It's a
to him just
risk.
be a club legend at Wolves, but
yeah, he already
unfortunately,
is. I think
unfortunately,
he's
it's they're a small club, and they're gonna have to sell their players. Like, they're not gonna be able to keep
well, I
these
mean,
players.
they are traditionally a small club, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't they get the
Well,
some
let's
good
face it.
investors recently.
Because a similar team that reminds me of Wolves was Southampton. They got promoted to the Prem League, and they had such a great team. And then Liverpool came in and just stripped all of their players, and I just see the same happening for Wolves.
Well, I mean, let's as far as like say Raul goes to London, right? He goes to Arsenal. He's lived in a big city before. A big city with big city press, where your face is plastered everywhere if win or lose, whatever it is. So it's not like he's never been through that before. So I don't think it'll be now. As that's what I put out. What if there's a coaching change in the middle of the year, and and then but I think Raul honestly is one of those guys that I think he's talented enough where the coaches go, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're on my team." So he's playing really well. He
Yeah, I will say, it's Jorge Mendez. He's got stake in Wolves, and he like if you look at the starting lineup, like they're all almost half of them are being represented by Jorge Mendez, including the coach. So I think that it's in his best interest to keep the team as good as they can.
But he
Yeah, but
also
it's also in
sells.
his best interest to sell the team.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's how he makes his money.
especially.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Like his own personal money. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this. So Chicharo, in the years he's been in Europe, the total of his transfer fees were 60 million.
That's
Everywhere
it.
he went, and he gets 10%.
Does he get 10%?
He gets 10%, and then that's on top of his salary. So he
Ouch.
for people to say that his career was a fracaso in Europe is like I mean,
Who's saying
holy
that?
crap.
Who only haters and trolls are saying that.
Wait,
No one is gonna say that.
and, man. But hey, going back to Raul, he had that mega offer from China that he turned
Right.
down.
He did.
Man, what could have
Yeah.
been?
I don't remember
He would
that.
have
See,
probably.
that's why he didn't play for Benfica for a year and a half. Is because he turned that offer down. They were going to
Yeah,
sell
and
him. They wanted to sell him for 60 million, and he said, here I have a choice. Kind of a dig at Club America. In fact, it was a dig at Club America.
Wait, what happened to him at Club America?
Well, nothing. He just said that he had they had this offer, and at Club America, if they say, hey, we have this, he wouldn't have had a choice.
Oh,
He would have been gone.
Yeah, pretty much all of Liga MX to be fair.
Sorry, Hoy.
But I like just going a bit into because we talk about how difficult it is to make it in football, and had it not been for like Mendes being tied to an agent like that and having those connections, he probably wouldn't have gotten that chance that he needed, you know. And he because any other coach is highly doubtful. Any other coach at Wolves highly doubtful they would have taken Raul.
Yeah, because last year he was on loan to Wolves.
mm-hmm.
Let's not forget.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
see, so
newly
I
promoted
mean,
side,
Right.
and they
And they
literally
ended up sixth.
they had nobody. They had no strikers. He was the striker, like right from the
They
get
ended
go.
up sixth. They ended up sixth, and I guess he had 12 goals because he had 11. And he's up to 23 in the Premier League, which is the most that any Wolves player has ever scored in the Premier League.
That's crazy.
So, well, they haven't been in the Premier League very, very often.
Yeah.
They only come up for like a year at a time. So it's not surprising. But I mean, Wolves is a club. I mean, as most English clubs do, have been around for a long time, and they do have some history, although none of it is recent. But I mean, it is certainly going to be a gamble, and even talented players, ride the pine. I mean, that's just the way it is because these teams have, they have a ton of good players, and they have a coach that has, for whatever reason, ways that he wants to play and players that he wants to use, and it's not like other sports where there's unlimited substitutions, and it, it's going to be a decision that he's going to have to make. It is going to happen. I mean, they're going to make some crazy offers, and you're right. It's going to be Arsenal. It's going to be Manchester United. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea or even Man City make offers.
I would like to see him at Man City.
Agüero's not going
just-
anywhere.
Just because of Pep.
Yeah, but Agüero, come on, man.
But they can't play together, or is
No,
it?
they can't, man. Man City's too stacked. He would ride the pine there for sure. He'd be spit shining Agüero's boots.
Yeah, but they're going to blow it up because they're not winning the way they were before. That they're not as strong as they've been. So they will be selling some pieces for sure.
And as far as Chucky Lozano, his future might be in the Prem League for Everton. That's the rumor because Napoli, they're ready to offload this guy in the summer. So Everton's one of the teams that were interested with him when he was at PSV, and they're still interested in him. So we'll see how that works out for Chucky.
Isn't
Hopefully
that where
he
his coach
just.
went? Isn't that where Ancelotti went?
Oh, that's right. Huh. Interesting.
Sounds like a good place for Chucky to go if that's the case. Because if you got a coach that believes in you, that is a good spot for him to be. All right, so I think we've covered everything we need to cover here in the CantinaMX podcast tonight. A lot of good, discussions. Chivas predictions, boys. So do we both win-win, Joel?
Well, let me see.
Chivas Toluca.
At home, go with yes.
All right.
I'm gonna
So
go with
are
yes.
you just gonna just pour a little one out for Chepo after the win?
Yeah, I'm hurting for Chep because two straight losses, But it is Toluca, like we said. They're one of the clubs that is willing to, you know, they're not
Suffer.
gonna hang you at the yeah. They're willing to let you get your footing. They were La Volpe for so long, which is surprising. So yeah, I think it's gonna take good guy Chep here a
So
bit.
Chepo can win in the 17 games he plays as long as he wins 16. You're okay with that,
No, man, he'll do good. It's just I want more Mexican coaches doing
right?
well and coaching, and he's one of the better ones, despite his the stigma he has. So for what happened national team.
Right. And aside from all of that flowery talk, you want Chivas to just bury his head in the dirt. That's what this weekend. You want him to kick him while he's down.
Yeah, he could bounce back
Take
the following week.
take his gancitos and his lunch money.
Man,
Send him ALV for just 1 week only. And Jaime, you expect a big Chivas win as well?
despite
Five,
the
five,
despite
six,
the
nothing.
loss, despite the loss midweek, let's not forget that Chivas are the super leaders currently, and we will continue to defend that on Saturday at 7 o'clock. They're at home, and Toluca aren't in the best shape. I'm confident that this is going to be a 3-0 victory for Guadalajara. Um, and I just hope Alexis Vega gets a speedy recovery because we're definitely gonna need that guy.
And who would you say, Jaime, has been Chivas's best player in the first 2 weeks of the season?
I'm a big fan of Beltran in the midfield. He's just been bossing, and I will say that just the few glimpses of Chicote that I've seen, man, he's the truth. And I'll admit, man, I missed trophies on Tuesday. He was definitely missed, and hopefully he's in the starting lineup on Saturday.
Well, it took you a while to get there, but you did land on the right answer. So that is
He
good.
did
As
better
far as
than
your Pumas,
he did better than Tata Martino. Didn't even have trophies on any list.
as far as Pumas, you guys have a tough one against Rayados on Sunday.
I'm
Is
po-
it home or away?
it's home. I'm positive in
You guys
any
are
home
home.
game, so they could
Oh,
end up
obviously it's at home.
they could end up spanking the Rayados.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're catching Rayados at the right time, just as they're getting going and up in the altitude. It's it's a good time to get them. So maybe
I
Pumas could eke
mean,
out.
if Celaya could score 3 on Rayados, what's stopping you
Hey man,
guys?
Pumas scored 4 goals last week for the first time in like
There
15
you
years.
go.
So it's, there is hope for Pumas to. No, I think they can get. I think they can at least squeeze out a point out of that. But this is the time to get Monterrey. So hopefully they can take advantage of that and maybe get a win out of it. So sadly, no one two games someone with is the lead. I can't it's all the table super líderes when they had grupos, so it's just el líder. There's no such thing as super líder.
I don't know, man. Super leader sounds pretty nice. Super Chivas
That was back
Galácticas.
when they had groups that didn't mean anything. They were just groups.
Yes,
They were just
they
groups.
had like 4 groups, and each group had the leader, and out of the leaders, the team with the most points, the leader with the most points was the super leader. Doesn't make sense now when they're calling Chivas super leader and they're
Right.
what, 1 point away from 12th place or 2 points from.
Well,
Well, they have
they
4
haven't
points. They have
they
4
haven't
points.
conceded any goals though, and that's what makes them super
Yeah,
leaders.
but I mean, to me, super leader is you have at least a 12-point lead. You could lose 3-4 games. Well, at least three. I'm not gonna say 4.
Let me just have my
And
moment, okay? Can I just enjoy this moment that we're
we
having
can't.
fun?
Cantina, we like to educate, pass some knowledge so that listeners are well versed in all things Liga MX. And because I think no, I think it's very misleading as well as like the Galactico term. It just creates false expectations where it's like, all of a sudden you're expecting way more of a team. Chivas in reality went from not being able to qualify to 5 straight liguillas. So all of a sudden they're galactic. I mean, come on, man. So it's just, and then now just they're tied with what, 2 other teams for first place, and they're super leaders.
Let me
That's
just
just
have my moment, bro. Let me just have my moment, bro. I obviously know, bro. You don't have to spell it out for me. You don't have to take out the crayons. I know. It's just
Wait a minute, black and white. You
as
just
of right
captured the
now.
moment so
As of
nicely.
right now. As of right now, we're on top. And we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, we'll. So I'm hoping for y'all's sake next week that we can open the show as we always do after a Chivas win with.
Primero que nada, hay que felicitar a Chivas porque ganaron bien. La neta, hay que dejarnos de tonterías.
So
No, I think we need another loss for things to go back to reality.
Was that Lady Aguila or Lady Machina?
that was Lady Aguila. Lady Machina. Well, I'll tell you what. I bet you we need to start ramping those up again because
And there's a new one, John.
there's a new one.
I forgot. She's Lady something, and she's somehow tied to Trophy's. I don't know if it was Trophy's ex-girlfriend or the ex-girlfriend was the one taking the video.
Are you
She's the
talking
girl
about that threw the beer?
Yes.
Is it her? Hang on.
Yeah.
I think I have her. Is it this one?
Que Chingwe, su madre en America.
No,
Is that her?
no.
No. Oh, okay. All right.
No, she's in an Atlas game,
She
and then
was...
some guys got in a fight.
Over
thinking,
her?
No, they thought some dude thought it was a group of guys next to her that threw it at him, and they're like about to get in a fight.
On Instagram, like her live story, she recorded herself throwing beer at someone at the Chivas game, and then she laughed.
Isn't it an Atlas game?
No, it was a Chivas game, and then like the next slide or the next story is her, like, some dudes like getting hella mad at each other because they thought that it was somebody else, and she's like, no, it was me. And then
Do you know how offensive that is? Like we're Peruvians.
and then everybody snitched on her, and Chivas actually banned her in the stadium.
She's been banned.
I mean, 'cause she was stupid enough to put on her own IG, and she's like a pretty popular person in Mexico because I think she was dating Trophy's. Because I follow her on IG. I'm like, wait, how do I know this girl again? Oh yeah, she was Trophy's girlfriend.
Oh man. Okay, well, good Trophies is living that lifestyle behind. He's more wholesome Trophies now, taking his vitamins, saying his prayers.
What are you talking
Imagine if
about?
Bocho ended up on the team and then
Which you might still. Now there's still rumbling.
You know, I for y'all's sake, that this season I can go the entirety of this season without playing this.
Chivas, don't make me laugh.
So just
yeah. So there was more news on Pocho, like his B sample was gonna get him in the clear or something, or what was it?
Yeah,
they were gonna try.
Bonilla. Well, the Bonilla, the league president said that in case there was, I guess it's still up to Chivas. Like he was cleared, and Chivas still wanted him. They were gonna like make a petition to FIFA or something to try to do the transfer again.
Yeah.
Which would be so awkward because it's like,
Well,
hey,
well, has the B sample even been cleared?
yeah, well, I mean, if it's like the last sample, we're gonna have to wait 6 months.
It's a very
We'll know in 6 months, John.
pump the brakes on the Pocho back to Chivas talk because it's I mean, it sounds to me the way that Peláez had it is that there's a lot more to it than just a positive.
Yeah, no, there is. They're saying he's been just sniffing the funny stuff for a while, not just.
Sounds like he's been on the blow for a bit, yeah, like Negro Sandoval.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Or cool it with the bottle.
there's also another player in the league that failed the drug test from Pachuca. So maybe they went out partying.
it's probably
Bueno,
payback
chavos.
for
Bueno,
y'all.
chavos. I gotta
Yeah, I do too.
step.
That's
Nos,
a good time
nos
for
vimos.
me to cut off as well. But anyway, I'm glad to have you guys with us here on the CantinaMX Podcast. As Joel said, he stepped off. Albert, thanks for hopping on as always and setting everything up.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Jaime. Yeah, Jaime, thanks for coming on and reminding us that the Chivas are the greatest team in world history again.
Thank you guys for having me. Listeners, hope you guys have a great night and very excited for this weekend.
My name is John Jagu. We'll be back next week on the CantinaMX Podcast on behalf of Joel Aceves and Jaime Landeros and Albert Campa. We wish you guys the best of luck, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.